guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shaki and today I'm going to be doing another book review. So I said last month that I really wanted to start doing book reviews more often and making them, and I decided to go with a book that I kind of didn't like. I think it's really important that we all show our scope of reading in these reviews and we don't just talk about the books that we really like. I think it's really important to talk about books that we dislike or like didn't like as much as we thought we were going to. If we just talked about the books we love all the time and gave everything positive feedback, nothing would be changed and everything would just stay the same. So today we're doing a review of Odd One Out by Nic Stone, which would come as a surprise to quite a lot of you. So I read this in February for Black History Month and Valentine's Day, kind of like a combination kind of thing, and I gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5 over on Goodreads. So Odd One Out is comprised of 3 point of views, apart from it's not told in the conventional switching between each point of view to show like a range of like experiences in the same scenario. We have 3 point of views in like chunks. The first section was in Courtney's point of view, aka Coop, and he had the first section called Book 1, and then we had Ray's section, which was Book 2, and then we also had Jupiter's point of view, which is Book 3. Coop and Jupiter have been best friends for all of their lives, like as long as they can remember. Coop is a straight man and Jupiter is a lesbian woman, and Coop has fancied Jupiter for a very long time. He's always expecting things to develop between them both, and everyone in the novel tells him that it's not going to. He's just really hormonal and thinks he can turn her straight, and there's kind of like a reference to I can turn you straight and you just haven't had the right man yet. And then we have Ray, who has been talking to Jupiter online for a while, and she mysteriously just moved into the neighborhood right next door. I'm going to be honest, this book made me so mad. I think it was because A, of the way it was constructed in its 3 blocks of point of views rather than switching between point of views in every scenario to see what all the characters were thinking and their motives. I think a lot of this would have been cleared up by communication and seeing what other people are thinking. I think that is very flawed in the structure of this. And also the fact that it was marketed to me as a bisexual love triangle. This was not a love triangle that was bisexual. It was just so happened that they were liked by the same guy, and that's just not the definition of bisexual at all. One thing I am grateful for this book for doing is approaching the questioning stage of bisexuality. I haven't even seen any bisexual rep in a very long time in literature, and I do feel like we're missing it. There's a big gap for it in the market, so as lesbian stuff. I feel like this could have been a really good voice in that, but unfortunately it wasn't. I like the fact that it didn't portray bisexuality as being pre-existing, because a lot of people who are bisexual go through a lot of questioning beforehand. We'll jump from sexuality to sexuality, searching for a label that fits us until we find bisexual and we feel like that fits us and we feel like we're happy. And I feel like that's a very good aspect of this book, in the fact that it doesn't just portray bi-ness as being pre-existing and like existed all this time, when actually they feel differently. And I liked that. It was good to see sort of me in that, because I struggled a lot with my sexuality as a young teen. I feel like that was a very good aspect, but unfortunately the whole questioning aspect was executed very badly. My reasoning for this is the fact that a questioning character, I can't say because it's a huge spoiler and you might not even read the book if you're going to know that, but it's a very big part of the narrative of a questioning character. And we only really get this questioning side 2/3 of the way through the book. They hurt people's feelings for no reasons because they're questioning their sexuality. And it would make sense if there was underlying factors apart from them questioning their sexuality. Questioning sexuality alone doesn't necessarily have to make you a horrible person. I feel like it was just made to make their character more interesting, and it's just not itchy. They literally figure this stuff out about them. They've been trying to battle with them for years. 1/3 of the book, and they're suddenly very out and very proud. They make very public announcements about it, even though they've been a certain way for like the majority of their life. Figuring out you're bisexual isn't that romantic. Maybe it could be, and I would like it to be for everyone else in the future. We're trying to make that kind of that way with books like this. That's not going to happen. Very more complex than this. It feels like the person just kind of like says, I'm gonna be a shitty person for a few days. Everyone's gonna forgive me in the end, because we all know that bisexuals are so confused and they're assholes because they're questioning. That's not the way it goes. Truth be told, I don't like any of the main characters in this book. I feel like they're all very two-dimensional. The only interesting thing about them is the fact that they fancied each other. I don't really feel like that's attributes to a character that makes them 3D. Although Coop and Ray have this thing where they have dead parents and there's something to do with a childhood star that they've lost. But I don't really think that this plotline is realistic again, and it's very messy and very badly done. It kind of fizzles out towards the beginning and then comes back at the end. It was for convenience, not for the purpose of the characters being two-dimensional and having trauma to do with them. It was more to like be like, hey, look what's happening here, and then look what's happening here. It's like, I don't care. Cooper's hormonal, very biphobic. I mean, he got better towards the end, and I feel like it was better for him and his character to not be the first person point of view. Speaking of that, actually, there's a lot of like LGBTQ plus phobia and biphobia in particular, which I didn't expect from a bisexual love triangle. Approaching the subject matter of bisexuality, you're gonna have some pricks and some biphobia in there. However, it was never questioned in this book at all. There is some reference to gold star lesbians really subtly. I don't think that was the main intention, but that's the way I read it. I think one of the characters says, I would never touch or trust a bisexual girl. I just can't be bothered with biphobia in a book that was supposed to validate me as someone who was bisexual, who was queer. Now we've come on to like characters and stuff and the plot. I really want to talk about the dialogue for a second. Oh my god, is it off? I think this book really suffered with the whole, this is young adult, it can't have any sexiness in it and you need to keep it PG kind of thing. Although some scenes aren't PG, there are some things and ways that it's described to make it so it fits in the YA kind of bracket. Genitals in this book are referenced as special places and how people feel special tingling feelings in their special places when they're attracted to someone. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? A, this assumes that all bisexuals or just people in the LGBTQ+ community anyway are so driven by sex, so they have this special place where they feel this. Did you guys hear that? Honk honk. I was ranting. Leave me alone, honk honk. And B, it also says that you can't feel attraction without sex, and love doesn't exist without sexual special places, tingling, and I can't fucking cope with it. No one talks like this ever. Say penis, say vagina, say clitoris, or just don't. It was young adult, and I think that was the wrong classification and wrong age range to target for. I feel it should have been new adult, all about self-discovery, and I feel like it could have been kind of good with that. It should have been new adult. Now we've done dialogue, I'll come on to the plot. So the only kind of plot we have is this poor excuse of a pointless love triangle. It kind of goes nowhere in this big round circle. When it does go somewhere, in the end, you 100% predict it, and everything is okay in the end because it's the end, and it's too bone-it tight and be the kind of like lost Hollywood star of like their childhood and trauma, and I just feel like they're very far-fetched and not at all believable at all. Not all books have to have an excellent plot to be good books. Some books I've loved, and one of my favourite books of all time, have really unrealistic plots. However, the characters are by far just next to none, and you fall in love with them because they're realistic and you see yourself reflected in them. I wasn't worried about the love triangle in this because of that, and because I thought, it's a bisexual one, I'm going to see myself reflected in them. The characters have no substance, neither did the plot, so the book therefore has no substance at all. But the characters aren't that great, but the plot's not that great, and you struggle, okay, to defend it. I guess there are some bits of character development that people might find satisfying because all of our experiences are subjective with coming out and questioning, but on the whole I think a lot of people will be very angry at this and the way that it was executed. I just feel like the writing style and structure put me off. There was flip-flopping between points of view. Some points of Jupiter's point of view were in like addressing her as in like you in second person, and some of it was first person. I just didn't gel with that at all, and I don't know why it was done. I found the same problems in Dear Martin as well. Also in Dear Martin and Odd One Out, they both share this really weird script-like style. I don't really like it. Some of the actions are put in asterisks. Say if a character like tears up, it'll be like Dupe tears up in asterisk, like someone's role playing or somebody's like in a script, like in a movie script. You would see this in a script. Nic Stone is not a bad writer because some of the excerpts in this are absolutely beautiful. Her flow is impeccable, but she just needs to make sure that her structure is kind of on point because it feels like she couldn't make up her mind whether she wanted to be a script or a book. And I feel like that's the same with Dear Martin as well. So there's been no like growth in that department since Dear Martin was written, which really puts me off anything she writes in the future, which is really unfortunate because I like Nic Stone as a person, not a bad person, not a bad writer. I just don't think that she is the author for me. Thank you so much for watching my reviews. Give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe for more of them. I definitely will be doing at least one book for review per month, depending on how many books I have strong opinions on. Leave a comment whether you've read this or not, or if it's on your TBR. Let me know your thoughts on it, if you agree, if you disagree. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye!
You've got a face for a smile, you know. A shame you're wasted when you're breaking me slowly. But I've got a world of chances